screen.
And does my wording on the does it read correctly to you, or is it backwards on your screen where it says my full disclosure movement?
It's correctly. It says 2025 full disclosure, right?
Yep.
Starts with 2025. Yeah, it's the right way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks everyone for being here today. We're going live. Oh wow, it did. I guess it. Yay.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Veronica. Nope, you're still muted. Your mute symbol is on. Yep. There you go.
Okay.
Now you're off. Now you're good.
So what happens is there's a reverb. So I'm listening to myself on YouTube again.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's mute your YouTube chat tab by right clicking on it and then mute that tab.
All right. So here we are today with Brian Tseng and we're on Conf Real Talk. And Veronica Bartolini. And we're talking.
Wait, Veronica, you want to shut
Say
down that other tab because you have a tab that's playing your sound again to echo you.
Well, if I go back to the YouTube, up the, you know what?
You have a tab that's playing your sound again to echo you.
Okay, is this better if I stop the recording on? Do you still hear that?
Yeah, I can hear you, but what you want to do
Sorry, guys.
is you want to just keep the main Zoom meeting running, but the
Right.
tab that is, for what the audience is listening to, you can just shut that. You don't need that
Okay.
playing.
Let me go to YouTube then, and then just.
Yeah, shut down that YouTube tab. All right, were you able to shut it down?
All
Try
right.
talking.
Let me go back to the meeting. Is this better now? I'm going to
Yep.
talk again.
Yep, you're good now. You're good.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And it still shows that we're on YouTube. Oh my gosh. Where have you been, Brian Zhang? Yesterday I watched 5 videos. So did that work?
Yep.
Are you sure? Because I still hear myself.
Oh, well, I don't hear you, so you're fine. And I don't think the audience can hear any echo.
All right.
If I
Let me
can't
go
hear you,
get
you
my
should be fine.
headphones. You talk.
Okay.
Today we're going to talk
Yeah,
about
I'll explain a bit. I'll explain a bit. So,
and Bitcoin.
Veronica is going to be joining us this year as an honored and featured guest at the 2025 Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida this July. It's running July 15th to the 20th when you include that weekend, Saturday the 19th and 20th, which is our sister event, Day of Being 5.0 in their 5th year, organized by Zach and Sue Fisher, Shelby Mosher, and friends. And that's going to have like drum circle, and we're all going to be gathering on nearby Indian Shores Beach, which is only like a 25-minute door-to-door drive from the Sarada Beach Resort, where the conference is going to be held. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's 4 days and nights of amazing presenters and special event dinners. We're going to have the presenters are on 2 stages. And, in addition to the amazing lineup of presenters, I've got a lot of special featured guests that are going to surprise a lot of people because even though I ran out of stage time for everyone who wants to speak, I still want y'all to be there. And so, the people are coming, you'll see. And I'll be making some announcements as we get closer to our event, which is a little bit less than 3 months off right now from now. And uh yeah, so that's among other updates. And then Veronica, you and I were speaking privately about cryptocurrency because you're asking for a little bit of, cryptocurrency 101. And so I have some insights to share, and I think that's of interest to people in our community. And it's not financial advice, okay? And I'm not an expert at all. But I'll
Yes,
share
you
what I
are.
do
You made
understand.
it big.
What's that?
You made it big. I think you are a very
Oh
important
yeah,
person
yeah.
to tell us about how you did it, and
Well,
what to
I mean, I wouldn't say that I made it big, but I'm starting to understand cryptocurrency a bit better. I'm starting to get finally support for the full disclosure movement because, I've been actively involved in organizing and advocating on a more self-appointed official basis about 3 years ago. And since then, I've dumped in a lot of my own personal resources up to now to kind of, get the first conference going, to before that co-organize the 2023 Montauk Adventure Tour with James Rink and others to visit Montauk on the 80th anniversary of the Philadelphia experiment, which is related to Montauk, but that's a whole nother story. And other things. And finally, I'm getting support. I'm getting recognition that, hey, this is a worthy cause, and I shouldn't have to pay for everything out of my own pocket, which is impossible, right? That can't last forever. And I like to use the example, I call it dragon ass crack gold. I don't know if I shared this example with you yet. Did I,
No,
Veronica?
not
Okay.
yet.
So it's kind of like all of us in the full disclosure movement, we're like knights running around the battlefield trying to slay the evil and cleanse the land. And instead of being well-equipped knights in shining armor, as the proverb goes, we
Right.
wear knights in rusting armor that's falling off of us, and we can barely feed ourselves, much less our squires, if we have a squire or,
Yes.
teammate or whatever. And meanwhile, we've got these so-called friends and family. Some of them are literally sitting on piles of gold or resources or money or whatever, and they're cheering us on. I support you. And they're jumping up and down on their piles of gold with their stubby little arms, trying to clap, and their wings are flapping but not going anywhere. And they're up and down on this pile of gold while we're just like struggling in the field. And the amount of gold and rubies and diamonds or crypto in their left ass cheek would equip all of us knights plenty so we could like, storm the castle and do right. And finally, some of these dragons out there, I think, are starting to wake up and realize, oh, maybe I can, my resources can be put to greater use than just hoarding it until I die. And
Mhm.
so with that, I'm starting to get funding to launch the Full Disclosure Now Network, or Full Disclosure Network. We're still working out the name. It's probably Full Disclosure Network. And it's going to be a global network. We're going to have live stream anchor shows each night of the week, then each morning of the week, and then fill in the afternoons, linked with a full-on app and AI driven for our side Web3 platform, so we can scale up like infinitely. And the platform only gets better as we have more interviews and more information. And then for the end user out there, I mean, you and I, Veronica, like we've been in the community. We know a lot of people. We know each other. We've been to some of the conferences, presented at some of the conferences, or throwing our own conferences. But not everybody's like that. People are like, well, where do I start? I like Sasquatch. Oh, well, the AI will be able to say, hey, you should check out Christopher Jacobs and Joanna Michaels' show, where they literally channel and telepathically contact Sasquatch, and you can speak with the different Sasquatch tribes and groups through them. Or, you can do a private one-on-one consults with them, or they'll recommend who of our community that they can go on like Bigfoot trips and expeditions with to go out and try to make contact and leave gifts. Don't go out there hunting Bigfoot, but with your cameras maybe, but they don't want to be shown yet or seen, so that probably won't work either. Hey, Tom.
Guys,
Hi,
sorry.
Tom.
No worries. Another person joining us at our event this July.
Yeah,
Yes,
looking forward to it.
finally.
Yeah.
So you'll
Finally.
be presenting. Oh, geez, and then Jenny Lee is calling. I just have to let her know I'm on her show here. Hey,
To
Jenny,
be
I'm on a
honest,
live show right now with two other people who are also going to be at our conference, but I'll call you back. Yeah, we're on at 4:30 my time, which is an hour and 20 minutes from now.
okay, sounds good.
All right, bye. Yep, and now I got a show after this with Jenny
Yay.
Lee, psychic seer, who is doing an exclusive psychic gallery at our event. She hasn't been out to a conference for at least 2 years, and many of her 10,000 plus, I think that might be on like one channel, her followers really want to see her in public because she's, a really gifted channeler, remote viewer.
Mhm.
That's gonna be awesome. And then, by the way, Tom Althouse is my new co-host, and tonight we're gonna be on with Penny Shepherd. Ooh, that was a surprise. You guys were not seeing that coming. But anyway, we're talking with Brian Tseng today. Tom, if I know that I told you a little bit about yesterday when we were, doing a lot of things, but he's talking about the cryptocurrency and how he's going to put together this whole thing with AI. Like, for example, if somebody wants to know more about Tom Althouse and what really happened with Immortals and Matrix, that's his writing, not the other ladies. Okay. Um, then you'll be able to click on that. If somebody wants to go on my show, talk about Sheila or whatever, experiences, they can go on my show, or Cryptid Huntress, or the lady you were talking about. And then also Brian's going to talk about a new Bitcoin that's going to be coming out. But I want him to explain for the people out there the ins and outs, kind of like crash course 101, like in whatever time we have, and also talk a little bit more about the conference. So you have the stage, Brian. Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for making it.
Absolutely. Got her.
Yeah. So with cryptocurrency, what kind of makes it important is it incorporates something known as blockchain technology or ledger technology. So it can track all these interactions and how much is going where. It can be anonymous. It doesn't have to be like your name and face all over the data. But it can do that really efficiently. And so when you think about credit card companies today or PayPal, they typically take 3% or even more, depending on the transaction, like international fees. Because moving around money, all these systems have to deal with and interact with each other. So then some people are saying, well, why don't we utilize a digital currency that can keep track of all this and keep track of our wealth? And, we know it's worth something because we honor the value of that. And then enough people are participating and buying up, say, Bitcoin, the first big mover for cryptocurrencies. Think of it as like the original Google. It's how many Google search engines are there? There's one, right? Are they the best? Well, that's arguable. But they're the ones that everyone knows about, just like any brand of like sun-kissed oranges or whatever. It almost becomes the brand becomes synonymous with the service or the item. And so in the case of Bitcoin, with that first mover status in the crypto world, a lot of people invested in when it was worth very, very little and not many people are participating. And now the whole world is utilizing it as a means of exchange. And it's got lots of people's money invested in it. And the value of one Bitcoin, right? The value of these coins can go up or down per coin is about 88,000, maybe $90,000 for one Bitcoin right now. And they were like at 50 cents like 10 years ago, a Bitcoin or whatever. Now, this is where we get to the ins and outs. Okay, well, what is this? It's a digital currency. It's just online. Well, what that means is how do you keep track of it is you usually have a cryptocurrency wallet. So there's different ones out there. There's like Phantom Wallet. Some people, in addition to being a wallet to hold your cryptocurrency, they'll also have exchanges so that you can buy and sell and transfer around in between people, the cryptocurrencies. And the thing about this wallet is if you ever lose your special passcode or key to your wallet, you could literally have $100 million of Bitcoin and XRP and XLM. Those are kind of like my three favorite, and I'll go into why, but especially XRP and XLM. And then Bitcoin is just kind of like a safe one, because so many people are already stampeded into it. And again, it's not financial advice, is my own personal, is what I'm doing. And you all are free to use your own discernment, take what resonates, and, and also invest in that's consistent with your ability to invest and lose or make money. If you've got a lot to invest, well, shoot, why not put some down? If you don't have that much and you're going to try to, make it big on my word, please don't do that. But, you know, um, so your cryptocurrency safe code, there's a lot of shenanigans right now where the word gets out that they hold a lot of cryptocurrency and that cryptocurrency shot up. Takes no genius to realize, oh, gee, Veronica was talking about buying in all this cryptocurrency 2 years ago on her show. Now the cryptocurrency is worth all this money. Now let's hack Veronica to try to, see if she took a screenshot and emailed it to herself of her passphrase. Now that person, they hack you, they figure out, oh, she's using Coinbase. That's a current one, a common one. Let's guess it's Coinbase. We hacked her email. Now we've got to reset her email for Coinbase. Now that 100 million whatever dollars worth of XRP or Bitcoin, that now belongs to them. And it's gone. Another thing to look out for, in addition to knowing how to properly safeguard it, don't email it. You're just like, do a hard copy, write down the phrase, put it in a safe, a lockbox, find maybe 2 or 3 places if it's your own, like in your diary, some one page 323, where no one's ever going to think to look to find it, wherever. That's fine. But don't lose your $100 million because you put it on your iPhone and your passcode thing, and then your iPhone got stolen, and now not even the thieves can find it. It's gone. It's just $100 million of cryptocurrency sitting there that no one's ever going to touch. Least of all you, when by all rights it's yours. Another pitfall to look out for is, cryptocurrency. It's really the Wild West right now. They're not regulated. It's international, so there was a current crypto exchange, I think it was called Binance, and they literally had millions and millions of dollars of people's money on it, invested in things like Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin shot up from low dollars to tens of dollars to hundreds to thousands to now it's at $90,000 a Bitcoin, that exchange took off. They ran away with everybody's cryptocurrency that was on their exchange. Was now, who knows where it is? It's gone. So you got to be really careful which exchanges you choose. And so it's kind of like a fine line of, you can buy your cryptocurrency on the exchange. If the value of that crypto shoots way up, then you want to consider taking some of that and transferring it to a wallet off of that exchange. So if anything ever happened to that exchange, you didn't lose all 100 million or 10 million or whatever, you lost half. The best advice a banker ever gave me, okay, is if let's say you made $10 million and you're in doubt, I'm like, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Is it going to tank now that it's spiked up? Oh my gosh, do we buy in? Do we buy more? Her advice was, let's say it's $10 million. Take $5 million out. It's like you're gambling in Vegas. Your best friend will tell you this too while you're drinking on too many White Russians. That would be me. And they'll say, take half your money out, Brian, and stick it over here where it's safe. Okay. Now, okay, you want to do the other half? Let it ride. Worst comes to worst, you got half. At best, you can make more money. Great. Okay. But I love that advice. Another scandal was the Sam Bankman-Fried scandal involving FTX. And that was another one. Whatever it was, he drove up the value of this. It might have been a coin associated with his exchange, and then the whole thing bombed because it turned out it was a pyramid scheme. So these are some of the pitfalls. And if you invest money, whether a little or a lot, and it becomes a lot, and then it disappears, that's a real tragedy. You could have used it on the movement, could have invested in my platform. And the cryptocurrency that I'm going to develop with my team, it's going to be the full disclosure coin, and it's going to be tied to the value of the platform and the movement as a whole. So, let's say you come to the platform and you want to get um, secret space program level clairvoyant readings from Veronica Bartolini. You have SSP level abilities, Veronica. That's worth
Yes, I
something,
do.
right? Well, instead of paying $150 an hour for a session with Veronica, if you buy into our crypto, some of our coin, it only costs you $125 of our coin. So that's 25 off to them. As more people are like, hey, that's a good deal, and buying up the coin, now the coin is going from like 0.001 cents a coin to like, this many cents a coin to eventually $1 a coin. Now, let's say early on, because you're a presenter, creator with our platform, and we gift you some of these coins up front. Hey, they're cheap now. They're not worth much now, but if you participate with us in the platform and help us grow and participate in the ecosystem, and maybe you'll use some of your coins to get a discount on our Sacred Sites tour to Egypt next year with Trevor Grassi, Sean Bond, and Isha Arsleeb. It's something we're thinking about, stuff like that.
Awesome.
Now people are like, oh, they're buying more into this coin. It's getting value. People are recognizing that the coin is used to facilitate the day-to-day life of all of us in the movement who are doing the work of disclosure. And now as the coin goes up in value, that 500,000 full disclosure coins that you have in your crypto wallet, that because we're going to be putting it on the major exchanges, probably off of the Solana backbone, I believe. Where, now that, 50,000 coins that you got at pennies on the dollar or just got gifted, now it's worth $1 a piece. Now you got $500,000, $5 million. That would be nice, right? And so now people in our movement, the vast majority of us, and I consider myself an exception to the rule. The vast majority of people in our movement have been targeted so severely that, finances suck. They're being stalked. They have to move around because they're being stalked, which additionally doesn't help their finances. They're getting hit with a directed energy weapon. So now they're out of work for days or weeks at a time. That doesn't facilitate wealth. And so, the idea of the movement, instead of being broke as a joke, but everyone's like, yeah, I'm coming to your conference. I'm coming first class, and I'm going to stay in the penthouse, and I'm bringing my buddies with me, and I'm bringing some SSP survivors who you never met and should meet because their testimonies need to be heard and they need to meet the rest of the community. Now we're building something, because now instead of the other side having all the resources, we finally have that power at the 3D level as a base, so that we can strengthen our 4D and 5D levels.
That's excellent. When I first did a reading for you, I had told you of what I saw. And it was awesome because years ago in 2018, I had a dream that I fall asleep here and then I wake up in another bed and I'm like it's in a resort. And a man is there with another gentleman. The man is Asian. I didn't know you at the time. And you give me a sifter like for money. When we're kids and you go in a field trip. I used to go on field trips a lot, where to the mines, and they give you a little sifter. Yeah. So this man gave me a sifter, which is Brian. I found out later it was Brian during a reading that I gave him. And instead of food or whatever, it was just on it, on the sifter, it was crystals. It was clear crystals and white crystals. And I'm like, for me? And you said yes. And the other man and you and I, we went out of the room, and on the floor, the whole floor was just covered in crystals, all kinds of crystals. And I'm like, could this be real? Right? And then I see a very, very tall man, which reminded me of Brad Olson. I said, hey, Brad, what's up? But he also looked like my friend in Germany, who's called the Giant.
And Brad will
And
be
I went to
presenting
the table.
also in July.
Oh, good. I've met him before. He's awesome. I can't wait to see him again.
Yeah, he'll be at the
He's the one
resort,
that,
so there you go.
yeah, great. I get to see him. See, so you never know these visions and dreams. I have layers and layers of visions and dreams, and they just, for example, the Snow family. I met them. I didn't know who they were. I had a dream of them becoming like humanoid lions, and it was snowing, and there's more of that dream, but I put two and two together. And when I gave one of my classes, they came to the class, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's you guys. So you, Brian, saying, we're the man that gifted me this opportunity to join our not pretty okay. So we all know that things happen in the community, and I didn't want to. I always said I'm not going to choose sides or whatever, because it's not about choosing sides. However, Tom and I are going to talk this a little more. There's also Project Artichoke that comes along, and MK Ultra and all this stuff that want to divide people. So there comes a time where you have to say, hey, I'm worth going to this conference because the person was telling me, well, we're not going if so and so is talking to so and so. This is so unprofessional. We're not in high school anymore. Grow the up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to cuss, but I'm very excited to present, this opportunity here. Sorry, the sirens. And so the dreams, I've had many people, I'm still having dreams. I've had dreams since I was a kid, but now I know who's coming, and who's this person, and it's amazing what we can do together. So if we all get together, it'll be spectacular, and we're gonna have fun.
Well, Veronica, during that one reading, you're speaking to how you had Recall of Me in the Hulk program.
Yes.
And Susan Long also has Recall of Me in the Hulk program. And what she said is she recalls being in a super soldier cyborg body where she had like these technicians, some of them were reptilians, were just jamming hoses and things into her and pumping fluids in and out of her body and sticking her in the eye with stuff. And it was really painful. And they're just nasty and mean, and they don't treat us, the assets, quote unquote, nice. They just treat us like meat. And she said that while she was down on the assembly line floor, it was almost like an assembly line factory floor, like a Ford type factory with cars going down a line. Where she was on the line being worked on, she said she had Recall of Me like in a white lab coat up high in a room overlooking the factory floor, like the skybox office. And she didn't have like bad feelings about me. She just felt like, oh, I was a scientist or a technician there, and she was neutral about me. But that's Susan's Recall of Me from the Hulk
I'll show
program.
you. This here is my book. I just finally printed it. I don't
That's
indent.
beautiful.
I'm sorry. I don't write like the average person. I speak and I write the way I write. I'm still looking for Janine Klosovich. This one is Janine. She's also a scientist. This is me. These are the Draco. And this is the AI that Chad did for me. So I'm grateful to him. But this Janine, I'm looking for her. So you're one of the scientists that are in the lab coat, what she's talking about. But yes, you were in the Hulk program as well. And this is what they do to us. They pretty much put us in cryo tanks and do all kinds of stuff to us. And I'm grateful that I was finally able to write this, because a lot of people are now coming together and they're writing their story. My whole thing when I started the channel was for me to tell my story. I actually started out helping women to say, hey, this is what happened to me. I was a police officer, married to another police officer. This is what happened to me. This is my near-death experience, blah, blah, blah. This is the do's and don'ts in a divorce, okay? I started doing readings. This was in December of 2018. Then 2019 rolls around, because in 2017, I started having memories of being a super soldier watching our beloved Max Spears online. So fast forward, now my channel is mainly super soldier. and mainly, bringing on other people that have had their experiences, and I want them to talk about it here. And a lot of people that have been on my show have made it pretty big, so I'm very, very happy and grateful. And so I hope that other people
We're going places. We're going
Yeah.
places. And the reason why is because the world is, whether it knows it or not, is extremely hungry for this knowledge. People, are really tired of is there non-human intelligence? I mean, this stupid terminology that they use, life, intelligent life off of this planet. And the fact that it's still a question in the minds of the 70 plus, well, people will admit to like 60+% they believe that there's ET life and it's here. But if you go by the mainstream, sometimes it feels like 70% are still clueless. It's probably more 50-50 because it's getting better as time goes. And a lot of people ask me, they say, how, because there's people who are so far behind, how are we ever going to achieve our Star Trek future if they still think the Earth is flat? Because, the flat Earth psyop by Colonel Michael Aquino from the 1970s.
It's a psyop.
And yeah, it's a huge psyop because he was also the founder of the U.S. military's psychological operations division. And then he was also the founder of the Temple of Set, which, Anton LaVey's Church of Satan wasn't nasty enough for him. So he founded his own group, which was a lot less Hollywood showboat, fashionable loser-fairism, and it was real hardcore loser-fairism,
Oh yeah,
including.
I've had him in my dreams. Believe me.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'm told I've run afoul of him in the programs, him, and Preston. So, I think we've all probably, got a a bone to pick with them.
Yes.
But
Yes. Real quick, Brian,
Mhm.
going back to the, our aliens here. Well, they're the thought forms, the archons. They're the ones that instigate. Hey, tell this person that, and you don't see them. Well, that's because it's more than Planck technology. I talk about that in my classes. A lot of people say, oh, nanotech. No, baby girls, baby boys. It's, that's just how I speak. It's more than that. It's Planck technology, and it's even further than that. Planck
Yeah,
technology.
Planck.
Feedback.
So Planck
It's femto,
level is
Planck,
way
right.
smaller. Wait, yeah,
It's way
femto.
smaller. There you go. Yeah, so it's smaller than the Planck because we got we got nano, femto, before that another thing, and then Planck, and
Might be
then
pico.
right, pico. So it's still going.
And
There's still
it's worse than that. It's worse than that. Not only is there tech at that femto level, which is crazy, but it's also etheric and astral and spiritual. And so, you're speaking of the archons. There are people in our community saying that you've got the negative Anunnaki and these archonic type entities, and also a negative, out of time and space AI that's messing with people.
Oh yeah.
And then the Draco, some people are saying the Draco are kind of backing off and they don't care as much about Earth anymore. And it's kind of like the more Anunnaki bloodline types who have been here for thousands of years, manipulating us through these Illuminati families who they're the ones who are stubborn and don't want to go. Either
Well,
way.
I do see the Draco still. There's
Okay.
there's good and bad in everything. Believe me, the
Exactly.
Dracos, they're gonna pretend. I have Alpha Drake bloodline, so some of them are good, some of them are not good. There's always the tricksters, and beware, because I am, and Tom, and I'm sure you, Brian, you've seen it in our community. Beware, because
Oh
they're
yeah.
very tricky.
Well,
They'll
I can
fake
use.
love bombing, and oh, forgive me. Well, no, I'm not going to forgive you because I have it. I've forgiven you 3 times, 2 times. You keep doing it. You're no, they're very tricky, and they're levels and levels. Like they say that the President Trump, has 47 levels higher than him. Everybody's being controlled by somebody, and you don't
Oh
see
yeah.
it. Like, talking about the AI things and everything. But anyway, getting back to the the cryptocurrency, I had heard that the XRP was going to go big. And this was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I didn't invest. And long ago, one of my family members says, hey, invest $10, $25. And I kept saying, because I was hearing all these people say, oh, but it's alien technology. Of course it is. But at the same time, they were trying to scare me into not. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to invest in that, knowing that I have a background in, I used to be #1 in sales in Primerica, and I had my business with home interior, better home and garden. Knowing that I should have invested it, but you get around the crowds that kind of like want to put fear in there. And look at Brian is now helping us. I could have been helping you guys more, So, right, Tom? What do you have to say about all this?
Yeah, I was at the one conference down at Cape Canaveral, and they had they gifted me these coins. They're really pretty. The money's really pretty, and they were talking about the was it the backing, or it has to be backed or something, and that's what's going to help it settle in.
Asset-backed digital currency.
Exactly, that's what they're talking about. Something to say about that? Yeah.
Theoretically, XRP is, some people say it might be gold or silver backed in some way, but I'm not sure yet. And XRP has had a lot of ups and downs because the government, through the Securities and Exchange Commission, has filed up to like 10 motions against XRP to try to bring them down. And when I first heard about XRP and I wanted to buy in because of some of the SEC legal attacks against XRP, some of these exchanges like Coinbase would not sell XRP. And so I wanted to buy XRP when it was like 30 cents. And then when, and I couldn't because all the exchanges were blocked and I didn't know crypto well enough to find places where you could buy it. Apparently there were, but I was still even more new than I am now. And the price, when one of the SEC filings was challenged successfully, it shot up to like $3.50. So that would have been like a 10 times, investment, right? Payout. And then it's back down now since then, like $2.22 or something like that. Now, apparently, the SEC is dropping its cases against XRP, and it hasn't really been officially announced yet. And so this new person has come in that's just been sworn in by the Trump administration, and he's much more positive to cryptocurrencies and approving their applications to be listed publicly and things like that. And so, I suspect off of that and other people that now's a good time, because when that announcement is officially made, if it's made to big fanfare, then maybe that'll go up. Other reasons why is, like you, Veronica, there are people in our community who have been getting downloads and messages for years. XRP, XRP, XRP. Lily Nova quite publicly has been doing episodes about this. I know people in our community who they don't talk about it as publicly, but they've invested relatively a lot. I don't know what it is for them. We all have our own risk and investment tolerance and resources, but they put in a lot because the Galactic Federation told them to, quote unquote. Right. And then we know that, there's a lot of people out there who claim the Galactic Federation told them whatever. And some of those people are being contacted from the Galactic Federation.
Can
as far
I say
as
something about the Galactic?
And then some are being contacted by imposters. And then some are being contacted generally by the Galactic Federation. And then imposters will step in for a while. They'll get weird messaging. The imposters will step back, and then they'll be speaking back with their initial good Galactic Federation contacts. And you can see how it's very confusing.
Dan Cooper, if you listen to him on Rumble, he was on with Nino and Eisenhower. And he talks about how the Galactic Federation is actually a deep state. And a few years ago, I think it was like 3 years ago, I stopped communicating with them because I go within to myself and I make my own decisions now. A lot of people love to channel, which is great, no big deal. Hey, but I do it my way, right? My way or the highway. No, I'm just kidding. I do understand that a lot of people, you know, that's what they do. Uh, Very famous people, but I can channel. It's just I'd rather, because I do have dreams, of people telling me, hey, this, and that. But ultimately, I'll give you an example. Ultimately, it's me. I make the decision for me because I'm not going to be blaming, oh, well, this ET told me and that, and no, I'm gonna make the decision on
Well,
me. And
so
if it's my fault,
some of those ETs like Bashar advise people to roll up their sleeves and get the jabs because the experts at the World Health
I
Organization
don't
said
listen
so.
to Bashar.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
don't
I'm
either.
sorry.
I call him
No,
out publicly every time for that.
no. And then I think it's Greer that says that Steve Greer or something that says that all ETs are good. No, no, they're not. Okay. I've had personal experiences with them. No, thank you. I was gonna say something. I have dealt with the tall whites. I know Linda Moulton Howe has been saying a lot for years. I've been listening to her too, and she's been saying how the tall whites are helping us. However, they really don't care about us. So I've had encounters with the tall whites. So has Susan Long. We were in court with them along with the crab lady. Believe it or not, this being looked like a freaking crab. And then there was another guy there, but the crab lady was so funny. I mean, it's weird because Susan and I, we're like, ever since we met each other, we're like, hey, I know you. And we were getting all these downloads.
Susan Long.
Yeah, Susan Long. So we were in a courtroom and with a very tall white gentleman who was the judge came in. And we were talking, and it was getting permission more to help the children. We were, trying to do something in court to help the children. Now, a lot of people out there will say, oh, well, we're saving the children. Say, okay, well, where are they? We have to be very careful. Like when I help people here or in the astral, it's a bleed through. Someone will come to me and then I'll help them, or the family, the children, or they say, hey, can you help me with this? My mom this, or something legal. And you'll always be helping people here through the bleed throughs, what I call the bleed throughs, for example. Real quick, there was Kim Godwin was in the astral, and she told me, stop talking, Veronica, because if you stop talking, the next thing will be your right leg. You think cancer's, yeah, well, you're gonna lose your right leg if you don't stop talking.
Was she threatening you or she warning you?
She was threatening me. She was telling me, hey, stop, because
So then I have to ask, so then all her stuff about the Earth Guardians and stuff like that, Guardian, like so is she not
I don't trust
positive?
her. I'm sorry. I don't know her. I've seen her online, but I don't I don't really, you know, I just don't subscribe to, and I did give a class on what she talks about, the back door and the front door finances. Well, what I remote viewed is that's the two Alice's. That's the two GPS systems and financial systems that are like the eye in the sky, always watching us. And that's the front door and the back door. What I saw is the two Alice's. And at the same time I was listening to her, I looked up in the sky and there was a female that kind of looked like Medusa, and she was like looking at me like that. And this was I even told Iris about it like back then. And wow, she says, yeah, I said that's part of the how the GPS, they're here tracking us.
Mhm.
They're tracking us with the graphene oxide. I'm glad I didn't take it. But for those of you that did, there is, you can do some things. I would say methylene blue. I would say the kernels, the apricot kernels, because I was Sybil told me about that. Sybil Haynes and another person told me about that. And I eat 3 of those kernels every day because if I eat more, I forget about it. But
Yeah,
it has
because they have,
in it.
yeah, the apricot seeds are good for you because I think they have a natural compound called laetrile, but they also have arsenic. So if you eat a lot, then you can get sick from the arsenic, I think it
Right.
is. But
Yeah. But they
something
have
else.
cyanide.
Yes. Well, you're also exact, or cyanide, may not arsenic, might be cyanide. And then you were mentioning methylene blue, and there's like a natural, more like blue algae that you can take, but
I take Sheilagy.
Yeah,
Is that
Shoji's
one?
good too, apparently,
Yeah.
but methylene blue over time is really bad for you.
Who's
It
that?
because it dyes the inside of your body and
The
organs blue.
mitochondria, right?
Just
It's
no,
supposed to help your
everything,
mitochondria.
everything. So if you look it up and you go online, they're
No
now
way.
dissecting bodies and the whole brain, it's like Smurf blue. Like people's brains are blue, their organs are blue, and it's not
I'll
good.
have to read it more on that. And that's what I'm drinking right now is methylene blue.
Oh no, yeah, I'll send you the alternative. That's a natural
Okay.
alternative that is not as harmful to the body, doesn't damage, won't leave your body stained permanently.
This is such a fascinating conversation because you're tapping into things that I've been getting downloads on
Really?
and guided on what to do. I'm sort of like the 10th man, where the guy who's supposed to be a part and look at all of it, different possibilities, and that's what I do. But one of the things I just got was how not that long ago in our Earth's history, our ancestors were able to use food sources that were so more highly nutritious instead of the market choosing that was done, almost like that 480 thing where they changed the Bible. They have this thing where they changed our diet and they put the marketplace, as you know, with foods that were more bulky or more showy or whatever the reasons. But I looked into this and I saw things like salsify and scarrot, which is so much more nutritious. And these things had a long shelf life where you could have it through the whole season of the winter, and they would even grow through the winter. And so our foreparents would have these, and like the peasants especially, could survive this way. We're not ready to survive a nuclear winter. We're not ready to survive our food, our rights being taken away to like grow gardens and things. We need to be prepared for a reset and being able to survive
Yeah.
like our ancestors did, even like they did in the Ice Age. And so I just ordered these seeds that I'm getting tomorrow. Scarrot is like the white carrot, and it's like it was a potato before potatoes were there. And Scorza neva, or whatever it is, stores for like ever, super long. There's a plant that you can grow that will keep reproducing itself, and one seed could feed you for 10 years because it keeps multiplying. Lovage, there's one called corn salad. There's tansy. There's one called lamb's quarter. All these things, if we look them up, you'll find that we could sustain ourselves like peasants did if something unfortunate happened to our world or was instituted, such as a final solution, we could
Pole
survive.
shift.
Yeah,
I think pole shift is big on the bingo card.
just thinking about that, just so wild. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm supposed to be the guy that comes in and goes like, yeah, I can second that. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I got that too. Download. Yeah, I had a
Yeah,
question,
the pole shift. Sorry, go ahead.
but no, go ahead because I have a question about the currency then. So go ahead.
Yeah, the pole shift, that again could be a psyop, but I mean, I know it's happening and it has happened, and a lot of people talk about it, but the pole shift has to do with what Alec Bealey talks about, and that is there's a biorhythm of the earth, and it's every 12th of August, which is Dog Day. Remember that Alistair probably used to do rituals on Dog Days for a reason, yeah, because the Earth, the biorhythm, every certain years will expand and will do certain things, and that's when we get the Mandela effect. That's why these Black projects are able to siphon in and siphon out that we'll call them aliens or the technology or change like the time, okay? And it has something to do with Earth's biorhythms, okay? So not necessarily pole shift, guys, okay? This pole shift is kind of like, okay, that's what gets me upset real quick. The word entanglement, when the word entanglement was out with the Will Smith, okay, that has actually something to do with technology that actually did happen, all right? And then now the word unity, really, okay, unity is another, be careful because yeah, great, we all want unity, but it's another thing, another thing that's gonna happen this year, okay? It has to do with unity, I've seen it. But just be careful, and I'm not upset at you guys, I'm just saying be careful to not like, we as a community cannot just be regurgitating what we hear online. We really have to meditate on ourselves and just see, okay, well, what is it? And investigate further. I'll send you guys the link to the Al Bielek interview, I've learned a lot, and it had Tesla technology as well. For example, Tesla was dared, and I have his whole Tesla. I have the Tesla book and the Enrico Fermi book and all that. And it talks about how Tesla was dared, by his colleagues to, hey, I dare you to make an earthquake, man. I dare you, and he did it. Well, where do you think the HARP technology comes from? Where do you think that? It's not Mother Nature who's producing this crap. It's the powers that be that,
Weather warfare.
Exactly. And so anyway, that's all I got to say. Sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
And a question for you too. I think in layers like, you guys do. Like,
Yeah, same.
oh, one of the layers that came in, one of the things that came across my path last night that I believe was meant to come across my path was that there is now a change in the definition of our human history as our ancestors go, where they now have said there was basically pretty much an apocalyptic war back in Neolithic time, where they say that 95% of the males were killed. And they have all these grave sites throughout mainly Europe, Asia, that kind of thing, where it's mainly head wounds, severe trauma head wounds. And the women did not perish, but the men did. And they believe that there was some kind of like huge world war back in Neolithic time. And I've never heard of this before. And one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about too, first take I got, one of the hits I got right away was, is this being instigated to make us think we're evil? The other one was, did this actually happen? And the theories are flying right now. Is this because it was a battle over resources? If it's so, was this something where they say they're believing that the women may have been carried off as war trophies, and but the men were battling? It's just some change of mentality where men started just competing with one another in the most vicious way. I don't like that.
What I think happened is that I've heard at least once the Draco reptilians have eaten us down almost to extinction. And that almost sounds like that.
Yeah, that too.
And then they almost ate all the women, and then they kept a few around as breeders to repopulate.
True. Yeah,
That's interesting. That's like the roosters and the hens. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And then what's going on right now with what I call gender chaos, they want the men to become feminine, and they put it in the water. Not just fluoride, but they put it in the tap water.
Because you can't take out, you can't conquer a people if they have their alpha males when it comes to human society.
And the wars, right, Brian and Tom, the World War I, World War II, all those, see, what I call it is dog wars. I call it God wars, little g. And it's not our war. So whose war are we fighting when a lot of us super soldiers were used? Well, we were fighting their wars, and I don't want to fight their wars anymore. That's why I'm speaking out and saying, yes, I was used in the super soldier program, but I don't want to fight their wars. I don't want to do their dirty anymore. The deep state, it's horrible. Real quick, and then, oh, go ahead, Tom.
No, go ahead, finish.
Okay, I'll finish. And then on what I remote viewed when I found out that I was going to go to Florida finally, and before this, the whole dolphin program, I call it Crystal Gates, that I was involved in since I was a year and a half, was in Florida. Some of it was in Hawaii area. And what I saw just lately is that what was given to me is deep seven. There's something down in Florida, deep seven. So either seven densities or whatever, but there are the reptilian. Remember that there are the reptilian, according to Carrie Cassidy. The underground there is full of reptilians, and it's not, I don't consent to what Dan Cooper's saying. Oh, you should just sit down and like Gandhi and be like Gandhi, and they'll take care of it. No, because because he was trying to say that the kids were not being taken still. I'm like, that's BS, because they're taken every day. And I live right here by the border. And so that's still going on, So I'm done for now. Thank you.
Well, I was thinking too, the model of how do you subdue a large group of species is you would take out the most immediate threat. So if you have males that are intuitive, strong, backed by strong women, working together, and you would want to disrupt the society. If you want to disrupt it, you would disbalance that. You would take away true male and true female and replace it by promoting false male, false female. So you present your weakest as the strongest, and you down your strongest by the weakest. And that way you can totally disarm any camp. And so I just see this all the time. They have it in Walking Dead where they take the strongest out. You know, you take your strongest one out. And strength, what is strength? What is real? What is true male? What is true female? What is strength? You know, how about in our age, what we're dealing with is who are intuitive, who are sensitive to what's going on, can spot trouble, can decipher, is intelligent. I think that's really components of true masculinity and true femininity is the ability to discern what is danger and what is not, and what a road forward to safety is, and a better life for humanity. So I think they're really doing a good job of the other side of putting in fake like poster boys and poster girls that represent a weak side of humanity as being that which we should emulate if we want to be on the top. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, they've taken apart the first that was a village, and then the nuclear family, and then they tore that apart, and here we are. So we're seeing all those effects. In terms of the crypto, it's not that I made it big in crypto, it's that I finally found people who they themselves have made it big in crypto are able to spare me enough of that ass crack money, as I was calling it, to fully equip some of us to launch our platforms and make sure everyone can enjoy the conference and grow from there.
I think it's a great idea, Brian, what you have. I think it's in a lot of times people will respond to who they trust most. You know, it's not just the currency or the product, it's can we trust the person who's behind it? And we do look that way. We do that as humanity. We look to see, can we trust this person in their eyes? Do you see the different forms coalescing, coming together, and in the end becoming one form of currency? Or do you see one winning out over others, if you will? Not to make it in a competition, but one becomes the dominant one. And who makes that decision in the end, do you think?
So a couple of things is in terms of physical money, I think gold and silver are always going to be good. Gold
Always.
is demanded universally because it doesn't rust, it's pure. And the electron conformation of gold is as a star Merkaba. The electrons, like, they form that a star Merkaba conformation in that's in gold. And so there's something very pure and special about it. And as Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, who's an amazing mentor to so many people and super wealthy because he knows what he's doing. He's sharp. He says that gold and silver are God's money. They're always going to have value. Gold, whether it's a filling or in electronics and circuitry, just like silver and palladium, those are valuable. Now, as far as cryptos go, I think that Bitcoin's always going to be around, but it's at the end of the day, yeah, it's a first mover, but it's slow and it's clunky and it's expensive compared to the new faster ones. Then that brings us to XRP. Some people in our community have had downloads or have been told that XRP someday in the future is going to be used as a means of exchange and measuring value for governments and corporations and banking institutions. And so because of that, they're going to want to get a hold of it, and it might eventually limit access of regular civilians like all of us to XRP. At which point, theoretically, if the government said, we're going to not allow you to buy any more XRP, but we're going to buy what XRP you all have from you at like this top dollar, right? That theoretically would be, who knows how much the value could go up.
I have a question. Go ahead, Brian.
Sure. What's your question?
Well, I'm hearing from history, there was a time when it was required by law to turn over your gold to the government. And do you remember that period? Was that before the World Wars, or what was
and then what I'd say is, sure, it's required by law, but it's kind of like the joke of with us gun owners and the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. They come up to your house, knock, knock, knock. Sir, do you have these semi-automatic weapons and this and this and that? And you say, oh, it's terrible, sir. I had all that stuff loaded on my fishing boat,
Mhm.
and we got hit by a shark. I lost a buddy, and the boat went down with my buddy and all my
Right.
guns and
Right.
ammo and everything. Oops, right? So at the point they tell you turn in your gold, I mean, sure you can. It's up
I
to
know.
you.
But
No,
you know me, right?
right. The
You know
naive.
me. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
gonna
was
say.
throwing it away. I ain't turning that in.
Well, do you remember what the reasoning was? What was the government's reasoning for turn it over?
Well, that was coming off the gold standard. Was that Nixon?
Don't,
And that was to save the US dollar. And they claimed it was a patriotic thing to do or whatever. But
To melt
yeah,
it down, make more money. That's what their whole thing was.
right. Threw it into Fort Knox and then stole it out of there. And here we are.
is there any theories about flooding the market like they do with diamonds? They said like diamonds are flooding, so the value will go down. Do you see anything about gold flooding?
So there's theories that there are banks like the Vatican and certain governments and like Asian dragon families that have huge stockpiles of physical gold. Um, and maybe that's possible, but I'm not sure. I mean, I know that India and China, they've been doing everything they can to buy gold up. And so I think that gold will always have value, and it's expensive right now. Right now it's like $3,300 an ounce
It's been
spot
going up.
price.
It's gonna
It's
go
goes up.
up and it's been going up. So if you guys want to buy gold, buy now.
And that's why I like silver more, because silver is more at $33 an ounce spot. And I think that it's a lot easier to buy an ounce of silver at 33 bucks and an ounce of gold at 3,300 bucks. And then how high is gold going to go up and how much is silver going to go up? There are a lot of people who say that both gold and silver prices are artificially suppressed, and
Oh yeah.
especially silver.
Mhm.
And so that's why
Because
I'm
of
kind of
silver
like, I'm a
bullets.
silver bug. What's that? Yeah, silver
The
bullets. You're gonna
silver,
need
the
silver
silver
bullets for the
bullets for
zombie.
the wolves.
Yeah,
Remember the wolves, and some of us are wolves, so we're gonna be taking
right.
care of them. Yeah, take care
Oh,
of the bad wolves.
next question. I have another question for you. What is the next element that is of value under gold and silver? And I hope it's not bronze, like the bronze medal, but it's like what is
Probably
considered
copper. Yeah,
copper? Copper.
I'd
And
say
Can I
copper for
say it's
electronics.
azurite? Azurite has
Azurite.
copper, gold, azurite, lapis lazuli. That's why we were talking about that yesterday,
Yeah, the
Brian, or the
flecks
other
of
day.
copper in the blue is really
Yes. And that's
beautiful.
how they make the machinery, the technology is that's how they get out interdimensionally is with gold, silver, and lapis lazuli. And that's from
wow.
Atlantean times.
Well, isn't the copper like the penny? They're talking about turning the pennies in. Now there's talk
Yeah,
about
They
because
wanted
the
that a
reason
few years ago.
Well, the
Yeah.
reason why is it costs so much more to make a penny than the actual value of the penny. And then no one likes pennies and cares about pennies anymore. So it's kind of like they're annoying, other than Penny Bradley and Penny Shepherd. But
there you
like,
Oh,
go.
a bunch of
Yeah.
pennies.
So
yeah,
does
the
the copper,
coins are like,
is it the copper value in the penny worth holding on to? There's all
well,
those memories.
that and they
I
don't
think
even put
so.
much copper in anymore.
Oh,
They put
okay.
other crap in, I think, too. So it's like
Okay.
it's a worthless alloy or a low
All right.
value alloy.
The penny changed the penny changed a few years ago. I think it's maybe 10 years ago that they started putting in the more crap in it other than the copper. I'll
Yeah,
have to investigate that.
yeah.
But as far as the you know how you said the joke about, oh, I'm sorry, sir, but my arms, whatever, went down, and the shark took it. Well, you know what I'm gonna say. Being military, we have more technology now, better than the LIDAR, LIDR, that can look through, kind of like the Tomahawk that can look through. The whole experiment in 1991, 1992 was because, they were pretty much bombing everybody and their grandmother. Sorry, but they experimented. They could see inside the home. They can see if you have they can see if you have gold. They can see if you have your weapons. They can even read license plates underground.
Yeah, they can
So,
penetrate. They can penetrate through walls.
and they can see where the shark is too. I was just, being silly about it, but knowing what I know and what we know, it's it's funny. But what I see is I see three. I see three as far as, the cryptocurrency. I see that there's going to be one main one, which could be the XRP, and then the second one, the XLM, right? And then there's a third one. So that's what I see that's tearing. Like they always, they always try and make a pyramid out of something. So, but you, Brian, what do you see?
I mean, I like XRP a lot, for all the reasons and other people who like it, and because it's also really fast and cheap. And so if you go on Bitcoin and you've got a lot of money in Bitcoin on a Bitcoin exchange and you want to sell the Bitcoin and transfer it and move it around, it takes a bit longer and costs more money. They'll take a bigger chunk than say XRP, where on the XRP backbone, it's instantaneous and it's like free. So I think for many reasons, XRP and then XLM, I'm not exactly sure how they're interrelated, but they are, Ripple and Lumens, XRP and XLM. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And then the third one, I mean, I kind of go with Bitcoin because I don't like a lot of these other, the meme coins. Like full disclosure coin isn't going to be a meme coin like Dogecoin. Oh, Doge is, that kind of dog is cute, so I want to buy those coins. Like that to me, there's no value. Us, where we're gonna have a platform and a whole giant community and intellectual property and assets and now the coin is linked to that. I think, I mean, I like to think our coin will make it big. I don't know if it would be an XRP and XLM type situation, but I think probably XRP, XLM, and Bitcoin. Those are my three safe if I was going to go in, because a lot of people have lost a lot of money on other ones. Some people talk about Solana might be good, and Cardano and Ethereum. Those are kind of some of the other ones I've looked at, but the first three are my top three.
What about the star one or something? There was something star, or is that what you were thinking of?
Might be
calling them?
Stellar. That might be Stellar Lumens.
Yeah.
And that's XLM. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Got it. I think it'll go big. You guys, I mean, come on, if we invest and we keep talking about it, I think it'll go big,
I think too, they can coincide if we look at it from a stock market kind of idea, where the value that you trade and you have different types that you can trade with, and different values will be assigned, and but they all will remain viable. I think that would be a good way. Is that what you see, Brian, too?
Well, after a lot of those wash out and people lose a lot of money, and then it's kind of like I mean, I remember moving from Los Angeles where I went to school. I'm originally an East Coast boy from 1993 to 2000, and I moved to the Bay Area, San Francisco, in 2000, right at the height of the dot-com boom, and then the 2001 dot-com crash. And so yeah, there's some people, they were invested in Google and Yahoo and the right Petco and .com, and they made a lot of money. There are other people where there was pets.com, petco.com, petsupplies.com, petthis.com, petthat.com. Maybe the one petco.com did great, but the other 9 pets whatever.com and all the people who had so much money sunk into them because they saw the stocks rising on these .coms so much. And then when the 2001 crash happened, so it's like, yeah, there are people who made a lot of money and then they lost it all.
What protects from the bleeders? The ones that want to, like you said about the Las Vegas example, you get what is it, 5,000 or something, or 50,000. You take out that.
Exactly. You take out half. If you see it spike and you're in doubt, take out half, convert it to the US dollar.
It's so smart. But what happens to the coin system when people are scalping it like that?
Well, see, that's the whole thing is if the coin is being widely distributed enough and truly used enough, then even some people cashing out, that's not going to tank the value of the coin. It's where you've got huge speculation, huge volumes are moving, buying and selling, and and then lots of people are just trying to sell. That's when it's just going to tank. And then some people might see it as a buying opportunity, and that's where you got to look at each crypto. And I don't have the time to do that, although there are people who do, and they're doing really well. For me, it's never about, oh, I need this huge pile of money.
Right.
it's for concern. I mean, for peace of mind, you know, you want, it's nice to know I've got at least that much money. So like everything's good in the hood. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you know, I want lots of money so I can drive the movement because that's what I'm spending it on. You know, if I wanted to just not try to organize a full disclosure movement and the conference series and a platform and blah, blah, blah,
That'd be
you know, I
attractive.
could have taken, you know, I could take my little pile of beans and gone off into the sunset and, you know,
Right.
that's that. The whole point of making all this money is that we can bankroll the movement.
No, it makes
What
sense.
a
Got a good
kitty.
purpose behind it.
What's your cat's name? Oh,
You're
you're
muted, Tom.
you're muted.
The
I
cat
think
might have
your
muted
cat
you.
muted
It's
you.
Brooke.
Check out your tongue.
That's Brookie. So he likes being on the shows, I guess, just like the Wonder Dog. So
Mhm.
Cookie?
Yep, I've
yeah, yeah,
That's cute.
yeah.
rookie.
I'm grateful, guys. When I had a talk with you, Brian, and in public and private too, I did see that you were going to take over, and I'm just grateful.
Mhm.
I don't have any words. I'm glad that you stepped up to the plate because it was very necessary, and thank you for helping us all.
Mhm.
And well, any last words? Because I know you got another show, and then Tom and I have another show soon. So
Oh, good, great. Well, everyone, please join us by going to fulldisclosuremovement.org right here by my name tag on the screen. And you'll see tickets are available. If you find your favorite presenters like Tom Althouse and you put in the code 2025 FDNC capital T and then lowercase OM for Tom and then 17, you will get a 17% discount off your admissions passes to the 2025 FDNC or Full Disclosure Now conference.
Hmm.
And every 5 people who buy admissions passes using Tom's code, Tom will get an additional $100
Wow.
from us, the producers of the conference, as a thank you.
for
And
dinner.
yeah,
Thank you.
exactly. It's sushi money.
Fantastic.
And you know, anyone out there, if you really want to attend and you know, you have a financial hardship, I'm more than happy to work with you to get you there, discount your ticket, maybe a full discount, a comp live stream passes. I'm able to do that now that I've gotten finally some backing. And the idea isn't so I can make money off tickets. It's the idea is so we can get as many people watching and learning and then sharing this information as possible. So thank you for having me, Veronica and Tom. You know, congrats for being part of the show here now.
It's great. Good
Thank
people. You guys are good.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later. We'll put the link on the video. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes.